Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Retro Computing Ranch. Today we're going to be working on some terminals. So here I have two Olivettis and a Wyse. All three of these terminals came from David over at Usagi Electric, so shout out to David. Found out he lives just down the road a spell, so that worked out pretty great. So what we have here is an Olivetti WS-885, which is an amber screen terminal. It is a DEC VT420 rebadge, so it was manufactured by DEC for Olivetti and badged with their logos. This one does have a keyboard problem. We'll be diving into that just a little bit. We have an Olivetti WS685, which is another amber screen terminal. This one works, but it seems to be stuck at just 9600. So we'll be trying to see if we can find out how to make this one adjustable, or if it is one that is just not adjustable. And then we have a green screen Wyse. This is a green phosphor terminal, and I can get into the menu on this one to make changes. So we'll be taking a look at that. We're going to hook all of them up with a loopback adapter so that we can make sure that the communication circuits are working. And so let's see how it goes. Let's go ahead and dive in, get started. Thanks for tuning in, and here we go. Alright, so I've got the Olivetti WS685 hooked up, and we're going to do some testing with it. Now, we have a couple options for testing. We could use a loopback plug, but that's kind of low-key. So what I've done is I've grabbed my Retro Brew SBC V2 system. I've got it hooked up to the primary port on the terminal. I'm going to go ahead and start the terminal, and we'll jump into the configuration, make sure that it's going to talk correctly to the Retro Brew SBC V2. So we've got a message that our WS685 is okay. We'll hit enter. We'll hit the setup key. We're going to put this into VT100 mode with the VT220 ID. On our next setup screen, this is a little confusing. You've got printer comm set up on the left, host comm set up on the right, so we're going to drive to the right, set it for 9600. We're going to change the default, which is 7 bits no parity, to 8 bits no parity. And we've got one stop bit, no local echo. So we're going to go back over here, go to our next screen. Everything there is looking good. Everything here is good. So I'm going to tell it to save our current values. There's no battery in this unit at the moment, or if the battery is in there, it's dead. I will open it up to check for a battery. But saving current values will get us back to our plain terminal screen. There we go. So now I can power on the Retro Brew SBC V2. We've got our boot beep. We've got our boot logo. All system checks have passed. Let's see here. We're going to list our ROM applications. And we're going to boot into ZSOS. Perfect. Let's grab a directory listing. Let's do that one more time. There we go. So something is still a little off with the COM setup. Well, we'll have to dive into that later. But for now, we know that this is working. So that is great. Let's go ahead and move on to, I think, probably the Wyse. And then we'll finish up with the Olivetti WS-885, the rebranded DEC VT420, because I know that that one does have issues, so it's going to be more difficult to test. Alright, so now we have our Wyse set up. This one does have a couple of issues. So the keyboard keys are all very brittle. You can almost just press them a little bit too hard and it will break them. I do have another Wyse keyboard in storage, so I'm going to end up digging that out, and I'll end up using that one instead. The other issue that we're having is, you can probably see these black marks here, the feet on the bottom of the stand have turned into that gooey mess that rubber feet sometimes turn into. So let's go ahead and fire this terminal up. So we got our boot beep. It passes the tests, but if you look at the very top line, the status line, it's wrapped off the top of the page. I think I'm going to have to open this CRT, open the housing, and see if there's an adjustment in there for where it's positioned on the screen, because I think it's probably adjusted too high and it's causing it to roll off. So like we did a few minutes ago, we could use a loopback plug, but I have my Retro Brew SBC V2 here, so I'm going to go ahead and fire that up. We got our boot beep there, our logo, everything passed. We're going to load ZSOS. There we go. We'll pull up a directory listing. So much like on the Olivetti amper screen terminal that we just looked at, the 685, the green screen terminal is communicating just fine, working fine, although we do have to keep the brightness turned pretty much all the way up. So all of these CRTs are a little bit tired, but I'm going to use them while I have them. So let's go ahead and we'll move on to the Olivetti WS-885, and I'll show you what's going on with the keyboard there. Okay, so now we're on to the third terminal. This is the Olivetti WS-885, which, like I said earlier, is a rebranded DEC VT420, manufactured by DEC for Olivetti. And in fact, on the bottom of the keyboard, which I have open at the moment, there is an embossed digital logo here. When I first got this system, there was an Olivetti sticker over the top of this embossed marking. So that's how Digital Equipment Corporation this keyboard was. Although it does say here that the model number is an LK401-PA, so that's definitely a DEC part number. Now, to get the keyboard apart, if you run into this issue, there are a couple of different variants of the 401. Mine has 4 slots along this edge. You stick a flat blade screwdriver in here and you pry it open until it pops open just a little bit, but you have to be careful because these old plastics are brittle. On some other variants there are slots here as well. This one doesn't have that, it just folds open, although it does also have the gooey rubber foot syndrome, so I don't have those folded down at the moment. Once you have that popped loose, you can just fold the top of the keyboard off, and then as you see, the keyboard controller is up here. Here are your 2 flexes that connect to the membrane underneath the keyboard matrix. This is a rubber dome type keyboard. To get this part off, the plastic piece that holds all the keys, if you look here, there are slots that you can stick a small flat blade screwdriver in and pop it loose from the bottom. But what I like to do is pop off the keys that are over the top. You can see the edge one there. And then you'll take a tool and pry that plastic back so that the catch pops up. And you'll have to go across and do the whole keyboard. Once you've done that, you can lift that portion off, and then you're left with the rubber dome assembly, and then underneath that there's your top membrane, a divider, and then a bottom membrane. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what this keyboard is and is not doing. Let me get that rubber dome assembly back where it goes here. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up the terminal itself, and it'll run its self-test. And there we go. It's self-testing. Checked out. The WS-885 is okay. We can hit enter. Let me go ahead and start up my Retro Brew computer here. Got our boot beep, system logo, passes checks. We're going to ask for the ZSOS. And then let's see if I can type without a membrane. Close enough. So as you can see, we pulled a directory listing. For the most part, this keyboard works, except for over in this upper left-hand corner. I have a variety of keys that are not working. So escape, F1, F2, F3, F4, escape, tab, caps lock, a few other keys over here are not working. But, which, you know, and of course one of the issues there is F3 is the setup key. So if you don't have F3, you can't get into the setup screen for the terminal. So if we take the rubber dome assembly off and we dig in, we can see that all of the keys that are not working are on one individual trace that comes from the header through the flex, across the top line, over, here, here, around here, down here, and into these keys. Those are all the keys that are not working. Now the way that these keyboards work is when you press the dome, when you press the key, it depresses the dome, which presses on the top layer and makes contact with the bottom layer. So if you do some tracing, you can figure out where things go here. And then you can verify that things are working with a jumper wire. So I'm going to take a jumper wire and contact where that trace on the bottom layer goes. And then let me see if I can remember where this comes to. I put it into hold. Let's see here. Ah, there we go. That was my F3 key press. That put me into the setup menu. That key is not working. So now what I have done is I've split the system. I have verified that the keyboard controller is actually working and that the problem is in the membrane. So what I did, because I've already had this apart and I've already placed an order to get a fix on the way. Let me turn this off. What I did is I disconnected these membrane sheets, pulled it out, and used the multimeter along that trace. And when I did that, I found an area right here, and I'll put a picture in because I know it's not going to show up on video. The trace here is gray instead of a silverish color. There's an open there. So if I, say for instance, go from this pad to this pad, I get continuity. If I go from the header to here, I get continuity. But if I go from here to here, I have no continuity. So what I've done is I've ordered a conductive paint pen from Amazon. Should be here sometime this upcoming week. When that comes in, I'm going to repaint this trace, put the keyboard back together, and then test to see if these keys are working again. If that is the case, then this keyboard will be repaired. So I am a fan of mechanical keyboards, much like a great number of people, but there are no mechanical keyboard options for this terminal. You're limited to either an LK201 or an LK401, both of which are dome and membrane type keyboards. So I'm going to do my best to fix this. Now, barring that, there are a couple of other options. I could take this DEC controller, replace these connectors with some type of different connector, and then attach to a physical keyboard switch matrix. I have one of those in storage. It would be a bit of work to get that done. I think that would be a perfectly doable solution. Another one is to figure out all of the protocol settings that this uses, and then use like an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi or something along those lines, so that I could just hook up like a USB or a PS2 mechanical keyboard, and the single board computer would do the conversion to allow that keyboard to work with this terminal. That's also a perfectly workable solution, but we'll see where we end up. So I think that's pretty much going to cover it for today. We've seen that all three terminals fire up. We've seen that a couple of them have some small issues. One has a more major issue. I think it's still perfectly repairable. We've also seen that they talk to my Retro Brew SBC V2, and so I think that that's all good progress. Now, further down the road, we will be digging in on the Wyse. That's going to be a future episode. Repairing this keyboard will also be a future episode, although that'll probably be the next episode, just because I already have a fix on the way for that one. So that should be it for today. If you have any questions or comments, put them down below. I'd really appreciate a like on this video if you did like the content, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great day.